Disccount Podcast.
Welcome in, you cheap beggars, to Discount, the bargain bin gaming podcast, hosted by three people so small they may be the Overwatch 2 servers on relaunch day. Relaunch day? Relaunch day.
Relaunch day. My favourite Resident Evil game.
I am here singing you a lullaby whilst whirling up, ready to smash you in the face. Hi, my name's Josh, and sitting next to me, plugging into player 2.
Fatality, more like hey-tality, as in hey, it's me, Darren, what's up? And very upset that Resident Evil 9 wasn't announced.
It's me. I'm putting my hair into bow buns and hoping my vagina doesn't come out when I kick. It's Karis.
Same, honestly.
About yours or hers?
Both.
Both. Okay. Do not blame me. No. Yes, welcome in to another episode of Discount. We're on episode 2 of our fighting series. And it's all going rather well. All in all.
Yeah.
All in all. Yeah.
It's
People
pretty
like
sweet.
it.
Yeah.
I hope they do. Who
We got
knows?
some good reports.
We haven't been forced to delete our episode yet.
Yeah.
No one
Yet.
Yes.
haven't incited any gun violence yet. So
No.
yeah,
No.
always
Yet
positive. I mean, I don't want to say we haven't.
We
'cause
never
if
know.
Things could happen. It just haven't been tracked back to us.
If there's any gun violence, it's not us. It's not our fault.
And if
we
it
didn't
is our
cause
fault,
it.
you can never prove it.
We may not have discouraged it, but who knows?
Yeah, that's true. We may not, but we definitely didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we didn't incite it either. It wasn't us. Don't ignore us. So yeah, welcome in to another episode of Discount. Last time we were having a lovely chat about games and what we're playing, and it was a lovely chill time. But the fight before that was intense.
Yes.
It was intense. It was a poor time for me. As you
great.
You both got points and I got nothing. Apart from disappointment, sadness, and I had to play Phobia.
A punishment upon punishment.
It was just compounded,
Yeah.
like interest. Talking of Phobia, should we look to see if it's gone in the vault?
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Open the vault, guys. That was lovely. What a lovely vault sound.
I went sort of up and down with mine, so it almost came out like a dinosaur.
It's alright. I completely forgot that the vault had music for me to play. So I just
musical
sat there. I'll quickly get through everything. You'll see the panic
It's
in my
like a
eyes.
birthday card when you open it and it plays music. You open the door and the music just bursts out.
What a horrible great anti-theft device.
Yeah.
Someone goes, I'm going to rob this bank. Like, oh, they get stopped having a dance
It's like
party.
that bit from Easy A, you open the vault, and say, I got a pocket full of pocket.
I get it. They're like, I hate Natasha Bedingfield. So yeah, that might incite some gun violence. So the vault, we're going to be looking back to see what goes in this week from the previous fight episode, which was survival horror, where we had the 3 titans of survival horror.
Yep.
He says, knowing full well they aren't titans, which were Phobia, St. Dynfnill's Hotel.
That's got a
Dynfnil?
different
get it one
pronunciation
day.
every time we say
There's
it.
2 N's in there. We had that, we had Dead Space, and we had the Alan Wake remastered game, which was a nice difference in games.
It's a good spread.
And a different level of love for each of them, but according to the public. I'm going to ask you what you think is in the vault, and I think you're going to be right.
Is it specifically for this week? Because I could just cheat
I feel
and say
like
one of the other games.
I feel like I'm cheating because I run the Instagram, so I know.
Well, I mean, I put the poll out there for the vault.
I would hope it's Dead Space.
I would hope it was Phobia, just because we said specifically we don't want Phobia to be in the vault.
I thought it would be a bit like when you tell a child not to do something,
Yes.
Yeah.
immediately do it, and you're like, if Phobia's here, we're going to cancel it. Everyone went, finally, Phobia.
But as you said, you think it's Dead Space, and ta-da! First
Hey.
you see, it is indeed Dead Space.
That was much smoother than last time.
Yes,
Yeah.
Dead Space is actually there, but Dead Space is our vault game, and to be honest, I think it's rightly in there.
Absolutely.
I think
yeah.
so.
It was the best game of last episode, although it was split points. I think Dead Space is arguably one of the best games for people, and people love it. Truly,
Yeah.
I think Dead Space 2 is loved more than Dead Space 1.
I don't know.
I think it's close.
I think it's close,
I
definitely.
know Dead Space 3 isn't.
No. I think 1 and 2 are both loved for different reasons.
I know when we announced this on Instagram, we did get like an outpouring of people that were like, I love this game so much. Like, there's a lot of love for
It's a
Dead
classic.
Space out there.
And then with Alan Wake, which didn't make it in there, we also got a lot of love for that one. People calling out, go, I loved that game, and then no one mentioned Phobia.
No one mentioned Phobia. No one knows what Phobia is.
Nobody's like heard of it.
No.
But yes, we will, I say, when this, we will have been playing, when this comes out, games which are these ones. We're going to be playing these survival horror ones instead of our fight ones.
Yeah.
I have no idea if that sentence came out as you meant.
No! So, obviously, our Twitch will be launching just after this, well, just before this comes out or something like that, but we'll be playing these games instead of the fight ones just because they're easier. But yes, it was this. Should we take it out of the vault? Well, keep it in the vault and close the door.
Yes.
Immediately throw it back out of the vault.
Do we have to make vault noises again?
Of course you need to make vault noises again.
Okay.
Closing the door now. It's much quicker though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll just close the vault over you singing Pocket Full of Sunshine because I ain't got time for that. Say that. But yeah, should we look at the games that we have been doing and the genre
do it.
that it was? So what was the genre we were doing this time? It was
Fight!
Fight! And if you're interested in what Fight is, we'll move to our resident expert. Darren, what is Fight?
That's hitting and shit, isn't it?
Hitting and shitting. Hitting and shitting.
Yep.
Hitting and shitting. Fight. Fight games. It's quite ambiguous. It could be specifically the fighting game genre. It could be games that involve fighting, or what fight or flight. Maybe someone's gone for a flight simulator and just got the wrong end of the stick entirely.
Yeah.
But no, I think hitting and shit is pretty much, and kicking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
blocking.
comes under hitting. It's like the D&D monk rules,
Yeah.
And
where
slapping.
everything is an unarmed strike. Doesn't matter what you use.
True. Yeah. A fish.
Yep.
Well, that's an arm strike then, isn't it?
Fish don't have arms.
Oh, that's true. But how many sides does a fish have?
Two. You know this.
Inside and outside.
I asked the biologist.
Yes, we are doing fight games. And we all bought each other different games, and they all came to us, and they came in a set order. But do people remember the order they came in?
I know which one came last.
I know which game came first, so we should get through it. So the first game to arrived to my doorstep that I had purchased.
Good, it wasn't me. Cool.
For the other person.
Yes.
So the first game this month arrived for Keris. So what game did you get, Keris?
Ladies and gents, for my fight episode, I have played Def Jam Icon.
Nice.
Nicely done. Nicely done.
Yes.
Do you want to move it just behind you so I'm not covering it with my little graphic?
Yeah. Is that?
There we go.
Yeah.
Perfect. No one will notice how awkward that was. Def Jam Icon.
Yeah, okay. So Def Jam Icon is, I'll be honest, I did not expect this game when it came. Def Jam Icon is one of quite a few games that Def Jam as a label teamed up with EA to make. It's not the only fighting game that Def Jam have got. It's the first one though, and the others were more kind of story based. I have never played a Def Jam game. I remember seeing Def Jam games in game shops when I was younger. I didn't really know what they were. When this turned up, I am not going to lie to you, my immediate thought was, I'm going to hate this. I'm going to fucking hate this. Full disclosure, okay, this genre is a little bit of a weird one for me because I'm not a huge fan of fighting games as a whole.
Yeah, should we
Pacifist.
put a pin in that there and talk about fighting games? I think we're all of the same ilk that fighting games are not for us. So if you're a massive fighting game expert and fan, we're probably going to offend you somewhere along the line.
We're very sorry.
Out of interest, I would like to know why you don't like fighting games. For me, I just find them repetitive. I find them quite boring.
I don't like the lack of story.
Yeah.
I don't have the fine motor skills to pull off combos.
I
get
think
you.
that's not true. I think we all do. The problem is you end up playing against people, because it's better to play couch co-op. It is with fighting games in general. Couch co-op is better. But you both start off at the same level. If one person wants to learn, you try and learn the combos, but the button masher will still beat you until you get to a certain point. You can't beat that curve unless someone else is learning with you.
I'll be honest, mine is more of a memory thing. Where,
Okay.
One of the fighting games, I played a fair bit of like Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter, and a lot of that is like the correct order of combo is you press square, then up right and triangle, then down right and circle, then right and square, and it's like, I can't retain that information,
Now, see-
which just comes from playing a lot of the game.
Yeah, I think that is the reason why I find them boring, because at least you try to learn. The button masher in our situation is me.
Yeah.
I do not have the motivation or patience in fighting games to go, I'm going to learn these specific combos.
Yeah.
I will button mash until I die, and there's no skill in that, and I'm aware of that, but I don't have the patience to learn the skill.
I'm like a step further than that, where I find a button combination that I know is effective and I can retain, and then just do that on repeat.
I will find 2 or 3 with one character, and I'll just burn through that the
Yeah.
entire game.
I do that.
But sorry, we'll go back to Def Jam.
Yes. Okay, so Def Jam Icon, this is a good way to segue into that, actually, because as I said, when I first got this, I judged it straight away. I was like, I'm going to hate it. I don't really see how Def Jam has anything to do with a fighting game. I don't get it. I did not realise until I put this game in the PlayStation that it actually does have a story mode.
Oh, cool.
It does have your regular fighting mode, but it's built upon a story. I use story loosely,
I
but...
I wouldn't use story loosely, but that's...
I think there's a story there. I just don't think there's a lot of narration there, if you get me.
There's story, but not much presentation of said story.
Yes.
Cool.
Essentially, Def
Like
Jam...
Dark Souls.
Yeah, it's built upon the concept of you get to build...
You're a dick.
It's the Dark Souls of fighting games, but not how that's normally meant.
So, yeah, okay, sorry, I keep getting distracted. Right, Def Jam Icon is built upon the premise that you build a suspect in an FBI computer that is a average rapper who gets into kind of like petty crimes and is taken on by this rap mogul called Carver. And you essentially, it's the build a label mode is what it's called. So you start off as this kind of average Joe rapper, and the way that you get better at rapping is that you are sent on missions by Carver and other well-known rappers, like Ludacris is the one I was doing most of my missions for, to go and beat up people they don't like, which are like paparazzi, people who are like infiltrating the label, and you have a specific fighting style, you have a fighting song. I will go into those choices in a little while.
When we go into entertainment.
In entertainment, yeah. And you work your way up to be a rap mogul, and you are supposed to get other rappers in, and it's the story is there. The story is there. As I said, it's not massively well executed. When this came out, though, it had absolutely great reviews, which I gotta be honest, I was a little stunned by. I thought it was gonna be more mixed, but people loved it. I can see why. It's hilarious in so many ways that I will go into later on. I thought I would hate this game. I don't love it, but it's okay. It's all right. I can't shit on it too much, and I really wanted to. I'm not gonna lie to you, but I enjoyed it more than I thought.
Cool. So we got Def Jam Icons as our first game. Was I the next one to receive mine?
I think I was the next to receive mine.
You were. I was last, wasn't I?
So you'll ask for a reason we will get into.
Oh, good. But yes, just to go into why I bought that game for you, I suppose that's the other thing. I really like the Def Jam games. I've never played Icons. I've played the first 2, which were great. I do think Icons is not as good as those, but they're both PS2 games rather than a PS3 game, which is why we got this one instead.
Okay.
And the other 2 were different, like you're trying to fight different groups, like there's Crows Grew and D-Mobs Grew, and like Crow I think is Snoop Dogg, but like he's got and you're like fighting crews to be the best label.
Yeah.
Again, similar sort of thing, but you got loads of clothing lines and stuff, like Reebok were a sponsor in it and things like that. So
right.
Yeah, massive stuff.
There are bits like that I'll go into those later though.
Yeah.
But that's why I bought it, because that. And also, we've already mentioned her. Have we mentioned her? No, we haven't mentioned her. But my sister Liv, her partner Jake, is a massive Def Jam fan of the game.
What?
He loves the game. So I mentioned it and he went, oh, he loves Def Jam. I went, that's a solid shout. So I bought a Def Jam game for you. So that's why.
Okay, that's not something I would have expected from him. But
I'm really
I like it.
quite stunned. Well, fair play, Jake.
Stunned because of your street food. That's what it was. We'll move on to the game that you received from Keris then.
Yep, I received my game. Fun story, I went away for a week. I left my house at 9 a.m. and this game arrived at like 8:10. So I'm like, cool, coming with me. But my game, nice big lean, is Dragonball. I'm going to say it's FighterZ. I assume it's not FighterZ.
I thought it was FighterZ.
I think it's because you have Dragon Ball Z and you have like Dragon Ball FighterZ.
I think it's trying to be very clever in its name.
Yes.
And
if there was a
instead, it doesn't
space,
work.
it would make more sense. It just looks like fighters.
Or Dragon Ball Fighters.
Dragon Ball Fighters. So, this is
You
made...
have to fight the Combined Harvester.
Is that their latest arc? This is made by Arc System Works, is the name of them. They do a lot of the Dragon Ball games. They did the Persona fighting games.
Okay.
They're best known for making Guilty Gear, which
Oh,
is one of
okay.
the big
Yeah.
like fighting game labels outside of stuff like Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, or all the similar sort of
Tekken,
thing.
that sort of thing,
Yeah,
yeah,
and then you
it's-
have like Guilty Gear, BlazBlue, ones like that, which are sort of the other side of it.
I suppose the more intense, the more true fighter fans will play those.
I think there's two different styles of fighting game, where
Yeah.
there's ones which are more defensive and ones which are more offensive.
Mm-hmm.
And ones like Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter are defensive, ones like Guilty Gear and this are more offensive. Where
Okay.
It's about building pressure on your opponent.
Awesome, okay. Good to learn. I'm learning.
Yeah, so this is it's fucking Dragon Ball. It has most of the characters in it from the word go. You can play as. It has a little story mode in there where it's a really weird story mode. It took me a while to get my head around what was going on, but it's basically you play as a disembodied spirit
Right.
who has been somehow transported into the body of Goku.
Okay.
And he wakes up and he doesn't remember who he is because he is you.
Yeah.
And you meet Bulma, who's like, "What the fuck's going on? There's shit going down. You need to help." You beat up an android, and then it's worked out that you are this spirit.
right.
And then how it goes from there is they basically work out how to transfer your spirit from body to body, because everyone is being weakened by these waves. It hasn't really been explained at the point I'm up to. But everyone is weakened, but you are not weakened, so they transport you into everyone's body so you can fight. It's a 3v3 fighter, so the idea is you have your three people and you are transferring between them. The setup of the story is really cool. You essentially have boards, and you move from like location to location to location. Some will have fighters, some will give you new fighters, some will give you upgrades,
Yep.
and you go through and you fight a boss at the end. And all of your favourites are there, like Majin Buu is there, Cell is there, Frieza's there. All the
Just
good
want to
stuff.
ask, you're a Dragon Ball fan then, are you?
Yeah.
So that,
I am a fan of Dragon Ball.
So it helps you... Dragon Ball or Dragon Ball Z?
Z.
Z, yeah.
Yeah,
Which
this is
most
more
people-
Z.
No one's really a Dragon Ball fan. I mean, apart from me, who likes Dragon Ball, but not the other ones.
But yeah, I am a fan in that I have seen bits of it. I haven't religiously sat down and gone, Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball. But I know most about it. And
Right,
I've seen
okay,
bits
yeah,
of
yeah.
it. So I recognise all the people who are coming through. There's a couple who I'm a bit sort of, who are you? And then
Right, yeah.
I like look it up for 2 seconds. I'm like, okay, that's who Yamcha is.
Yeah.
Who the fuck knows who Yamcha is, really? But yeah, it's good fun. We'll get more into it in like the entertainment side of things. But it's
that's what the game
as
is.
someone who knows Dragon Ball, as someone who likes Dragon Ball, it's
helps.
I
Dragon
will
Ball.
say, when I saw this, and I think we've spoken about animes that we watched when we were younger, my big one was Sailor Moon, and yours, we talked about Dragon Ball a little bit, and when I saw it, I immediately thought, okay, I'm going
I'll
to
be
give it
into
this to
that.
go for, yeah.
Cool. Right. Talking of fandoms and fighting, I suppose it's the one that I got
one that
next,
you got.
which was Marvel vs. Capcom 3 on the PS3. Not the Ultimate version, which came out later. It was Marvel vs. Capcom 3. I mean, the full name is Marvel vs. Capcom 3 Fate of Two Worlds.
Ooh.
Which makes it sound like it's going to have a story mode, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It does. That's
It
fun.
doesn't.
It doesn't. It's very much. It's the 5th installment of the Marvel Capcom games, which is Capcom EA working together to
That's
make this with
confusing,
Marvel.
given it's 3.
I know, very confusing. But it's a 3-dimensional. It's the first use of 3-dimensional character models instead of
Okay.
2-dimensional spirits. So that's like its big change in this.
3 for
It's-
3D.
Yep, 3 for 3D.
Cool.
It's got very limited modes in it. It is very much you will pick 3. It's a tag team fighter,
Yeah.
which I don't know if it is with you guys, but it's a tag team fighter where you have 3 on your team, 3 on the enemy team. You select those and you fight against each other. The modes are very much like you can do mastery on moves, where you just work through getting all your move mastery, working out how each character works, which I think is a nice reward system. But there is no story in it, and they focus primarily on online fighting. That was the
Okay.
big thing for this. They wanted everyone to fight online against others. But really, the big thing is the characters. It's got a massive range of Capcom and Marvel characters. So, like, new ones to this were things like Deadpool were brought into this, She-Hulk were brought into this, Phoenix, MODOK was brought into this. And then from Capcom side, they brought in people like, Dante from Devil May Cry. They brought in Chris Redfield for the first time. They brought in Albert Wesker for the first time. So they brought in a bunch of new people for it, but they had the old ones in there like Iron Man and Captain America and Chun-Li and Ryu and stuff like that. So it's very much a game for fighting where you will fight against the other ones. Good reviews overall from it, but people's big thing was there was a lack of modes, which they were disappointed about.
Right.
There is apparently, I think, an arcade bit in there with like an ending, but it isn't really a story. It's less story than I've seen in a fighter for a long time, where I didn't really feel like I was getting anything. It was like, oh, you've chosen this character. When you get to the end, you'll get a story.
Okay.
That's it's like, here you go, here are the set fighters you have to go against. You've chosen these ones, they'll get a set ending. But there's no story to it till the end.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's pretty much it. Did you want to say anything about why it took so long to get to me?
Oh my god. So we'll segue this nicely into honourable mentions. I had a fucking hassle trying to find a game. Because the first one I wanted to buy you was digital only. It's a game called Fight Club.
Okay.
No, it's not. Fight Club is what it references. It's called Punch Club.
I was going to say, I've not heard of that.
Punch Club is great. It's like a little sprite boxing game.
Yep.
But it references everything under the sun. And it's real good. It's real funny. And that is a great game.
Cool.
I then thought, I'll buy Smash. That'll be fun.
But
Smash is £1,000 everywhere.
Smash is
Nintendo game.
I also looked at Smash as well this time.
I then tried to buy you a game called Arms. I don't know if you're familiar with Arms.
No.
Arms is a Switch game where all of the fighters have extendable arms.
Cool.
And the idea is you play with the two Joy-Cons separately as your fists.
Oh my
and you,
god.
swing them out to hit from like a distance.
Yep.
Arms is also very expensive. I at one point had 2 bids lined up where I was going to buy you the cartridge and an empty box and send it to you like a build it yourself. But that didn't work out. And then I got onto this. I got onto the Ultimate first, but couldn't find it cheap, and I got onto this.
Yeah.
I had
a nightmare. It was hard, I think, to find the fighting games. I mean, admittedly, I bought this one like a day after the episode, the one for you. I did look at the other Def Jam games. I think Skullgirls was one of the ones I was really looking for, but like physical copy wise, you're looking like £100 for it.
Yeah.
It's a digital one. I mean, there were a lot of ones like that, and I was like, oh, go on. I mean, I thought about the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game, Cowabunga Edition, but again, I thought it's too expensive. And Street of Rage 4, like those style games, I really like. And I think they're fun fighting games.
Yeah.
But I couldn't find one that wasn't digital only that would have that same mechanic.
I also looked at stuff like Mortal Kombat, like Guilty Gears, like Blasphemous. I looked at the Persona fighting game for a little while, but couldn't find that at a decent price. The problem as well is, as we talked about earlier, trying to buy a fighting game for people who don't like fighting games.
Yeah.
Very hard.
So trying to buy something that isn't like a Guilty Gear, which is absurdly like complex and memorization, sort of rhythm heavy, to find something that's a bit more sort of
I think by the sounds of it then, on that note, I probably had the easiest time because I know when Fight was announced, I specifically I thought like, if I don't like fighting games, there's a good chance that you guys may not like them. I could have been wrong. But I thought my best option, and I just thought it's very niche, but I am going to find some kind of like anime fighting game.
Yeah.
I was like, I know I'm going to do this. And when I looked at like reviews and stuff, people seem to like this. So I was like, okay.
You go at it from like that sort of perpendicular angle. Where you're like, right, if they're not going to like the fighting, maybe they'll like who's fighting.
Yeah.
The feel.
And then I remembered like our conversation about Dragon Ball, and it was fate.
Yeah.
Cool. I have realised I've used the wrong music for Into the Genre, but
that's all right.
It doesn't really matter, does it? We're past that.
Who really remembers?
Who really remembers? But what they do remember is the next one, when we move into actually fighting over which of these games is the best game for value if you're looking for a budget fight game.
Time for the fight.
Fight.
Round 1, fight!
Isn't it sad when our music is actually referencing a better game for this genre than any of the games?
I tried to say fight in time with it, and fight was a lot later than I remember.
All of it's a lot later. It's round.
Fight?
But it's also round. One? This is the first number you had to remember.
I think it's on recording it going round.
Yeah.
What?
So when you walk into the kitchen and you're determined to do something, and then you're like, why am I here?
Yeah.
Round.
So you've looked at the conditions of the fighters and gone, they look alright, it's probably one.
So, should we have a little look at the games. We're going for most accurate first over anything else. So, which of our games is a most accurate fight game? Before we go into anything else. So, fighting-wise, anyone want to jump in on this very hard? Because
I'm going to jump in, but not for the game I bought. Ooh.
Oh!
I want to fight for Dragonball. Because this is another one like in the past we've had sports and we've had Platinum in a Day, where it's hard to argue when the topic is fight and they're all fighting games. There's sort of, we've all addressed the brief, so how do you decide which fighting game is the most fight? And I want to fight for Dragon Ball.
You want to keep fighting? Do you want to say fight one more time?
Fight.
Four, I mean fire.
But I think it should be the most accurate because the property it is based on is also a property that is basically centered around fighting. Like Dragon Ball is a fight anime in that it just dedicates 90% of its runtime to people punching the shit out of each other. And all of the cool part of Dragon Ball is all the fighting stuff. So you have like these psychic powers, you have the Kamehameha, and all of those are in the game. You can do all of those in the fights, everyone has their specific things. But that's sort of my argument for that, in that it is a fighting game based on a property that is also about fighting, and it translates how the fighting looks in Dragon Ball into how you play the game. It feels very one-to-one.
I think that's a very strong argument for what it is. It really is. I mean, it is a fighting game based on a fighting property that is fighting. But then I could make the same argument for what the game I got, which is a very much a dedicated fighting game that is of comics, which I know there's story to them, but the big part is there's always a fight in them. There's always a battle to it. And I mean, even if you look at the Capcom titles, I mean, you got Chun-Li and you got Ryu, we got characters from famous fighting games throwing up in here as well, plus the Resi ones, which are from Resi 4 onwards, which are fighting action ones. I mean, they are different. I mean, the difference with this is you've got people throwing in guns into the equation, you've got people throwing in bombs and stuff, so it makes it a bit more out there. And this, when Dragon Ball is just punching, this is a very dedicated Marvel vs. Capcom 3 is a very dedicated fighter. That's all it's got going for it, is that it is a fighting game. You aren't getting story out of this. You aren't getting, if you don't like fighting games, you're getting very little.
That's another thing.
Out of
like
that.
the argument for that one as well is that it is just fighting. It has a mode and it is fight.
And you will fight, and you will keep fighting against 3 people at random, and you will do those 3 fights over and over again. It is just, you will fight until you stop fighting. And if you stop fighting, that's the end of that round, and you start it again at the arcade mode, and you try and work your way back up to 10 wins. And that's all it's got going for it. And the fight, I do think the mechanics in it are simple, and they are what they want. If you look at a fighting game and you saw this, you'd go, there is no argument what this is. It's 2 people either side of a screen, health bars at the top, with a timer in the middle. You know what you're getting. It's a fight game. Sorry, Def Jam.
Okay, so I struggle with calling this game. It is accurate.
Oh, all right then.
If I'm going to fight for a game to be most accurate, it is going to be Marvel vs. Capcom for that exact reason. It is a fighting game.
It's a fighting game with
is,
fighting.
However, I do have reasons that I believe this game straddles the line between accurate and not accurate.
Okay.
So it is a fighting game. That is what this game is about. It is accurate in the sense that that is what it is. However, unlike yours, I'm not going to say that it has no right to be a fighting game, because it is entrenched in this kind of rap culture of, you know, I am going to physically fight you to get where I want. I'm going to physically fight my way out of poverty to be able to get this, you know, all the things that I need.
I was going for highbrow.
But so there's a lot going on in there that, yes, it's accurate. However, I would say I don't believe enough work has been done on the mechanics of the fighting for it to be an enjoyable fight in itself. The fighting mechanisms of it doesn't feel like, you know, when you play like Street Fighter or Tekken, and it feels solid when you punch something. It feels like you're like, it's not realistic, don't get me wrong, but it feels like a solid punch. It feels like you're hitting something. When I am playing as player, and I am like fighting another person, it actually feels a little soft. So when I'm punching someone, it doesn't feel like I'm punching someone. It feels like everything is very slow. Everything is very gentle, which is very strange. There's no health bars, so you don't know whether you're winning or not. And the graphics, I mean, it's a PS3 game. I'm not expecting anything major. But you have to go off how damaged the other person looks, and that isn't always great. So a lot of the time I found myself losing a fight, and I'd lose a fight, and I'd be like, where the fuck has that come from? What do you mean I've lost?
It's a bit like rather than a fighting game with Def Jam in it, it's a Def Jam game with fighting in it.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's like the sub part of it.
It seems very like it's very cool, and I'll go to this entertaining when you've got like Ludacris on the other side of your email being like, I need you to go and punch this guy who's done this and that and the other, and that's great. And it's like,
I can't wait for us to have
awesome.
to cut that out. That impression.
It's staying in.
It was in a Welsh accent. It's not offensive.
It did sound more like,
Oh, that's not how I meant it. That is not how I meant
I
it
had to
at
leave
all.
it in because we've said worse. If we focus them on Keras, we're in the clear.
That's not how I meant it. I wanted to sound more like gruff, but
no, I get it.
you know,
You did your best.
yeah. It's
Which is how you feel about Def Jam and fighting.
yeah.
They did their best.
I thought you were going to say gruff. Wait, what?
It's not accurate to me only because sadly the fighting part of it is the part I enjoyed the least.
This feels like another episode of Shit on Josh.
Oh no, I don't mean it to.
It's fine.
Oh no, mean it to.
That's all right.
Let's not fuck around.
Look, at the end of the day, I'm going to pull it back in at the end. I just need to slowly let you guys feel good. But I think what we're saying here is that Def Jam is not the most accurate. It's between Dragon Ball FighterZ and Marvel vs. Capcom 3, but Marvel vs. Capcom 3 probably does have it.
Yes, I would say so.
Because that's all it's got for it.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
a
that's
fighting
literally
game.
it.
It's a fighting game.
Yeah. You know what you're getting straight away with that.
Yeah,
yeah.
From the cover, you know what you're getting with that.
You're not going to be disappointed. If you want a fighting game, that's a fighting game. It's got it through and through. So,
yeah.
Cool.
first point of the episode goes to Darren.
I like getting a point when I didn't fight for my own game.
Marvel vs. Capcom 3.
Somehow worked in my
So,
favour.
1 point to you. Again, you won most accurate.
Yeah.
2 weeks in a row. I think
This
that
is what I was good at last time.
Oh, no, you didn't. Most accurate last time was St. Dimple. So
Phobia,
it's actually,
yeah.
So, should we move on to value for money? See who gets the most valuable for money game.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be hard to work out on this one what is value for money. We can look at how much everything costs, which I think is the first way to look at it, and then it's going to be working out content and length, which is very subjective.
I do also find that the first step to working out value for money is working out how much it costs.
It is.
It's an important part of the equation.
Very much. So I'll go first, as it was the first game to arrive. I spent a total of £3 on Def Jam.
Nice.
Which I think is a very solid price to pay for a game. And so £3 on that. What else have we got money-wise? Dragon Ball. How much did you spend on Dragon Ball?
I spent with shipping $10.99.
I think it was $10.94, wasn't it?
$10.94.
You say 5p on that? Yeah.
Right.
$10.94.
Marvel vs. Capcom was $9.95.
$9.95. Cool.
Yeah.
So cheapest game is Def Jam Icons.
Yeah.
Now we look at length of game. So I think it's very difficult to work out. So I had a little look at sort of like length to beat it. The main objective of Marvel vs. Capcom is essentially 1 hour.
Yeah.
However, if you want to like 100% every character, you've got over 100 hours to
Like
play
see
on it.
everyone's story, do everything.
Let's do it that way.
Yeah.
Dragon Ball, apparently 12 hours to beat the story, but I spent about 45 hours to obtain 100%.
There's a lot of side shit, is how I describe it.
Whilst Def Jam Icon is very much a 9-hour game.
Yeah.
And that's what you're going to get out of it. But then when do we argue things fall? It's more unlike the last games, which was like, this is how much you spent, this is how long the game is.
Yeah.
It's also, I suppose, how much you would play of it.
Something I'll say about Dragon Ball in terms of its hours, and I suppose this is both good and not good, I suppose, is that you can get out of it exactly how much you want to put in.
Yeah.
In that story mode especially, I talked about the like the board setup of it. You, if you want, can start on your tile and go straight to the boss tile and move the fuck on. And if that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. It'll be a bit harder because your characters in the story mode level up.
Yeah.
But also every fight you do, the other fights level up.
Okay.
So do you want to go straight to the boss and have a hard time? Do you want to like grind your way up? Do you want to do a couple of fights or do you want to do all of them? So that is part of it, is that it being long is almost entirely on
the player.
Your own shoulders. Yeah. If you want it to be short, it can be short. If you want it to be long, it can be long.
Okay. Which is nice.
It's good. Yeah, I do them all because I'm a filthy completionist and I can't help myself. And I see like there are 4 fights on this board, so boy, I will do 4 fights. But also you get like upgrades, you get new characters.
Yeah.
I want everything.
I don't think this is a 105-hour game.
Fair.
I think there are people who will love this and will play it, and if you're online, great, good for you. But the hour to complete one, I think that's all the enjoyment I could get out of
It's
it.
a real your mileage mode.
It is again your mileage in it because of how limited the game mode is. It's very much you go in if you're enjoying it. I think back when this came out, couch co-op, I reckon this was really fun. I reckon that's you go in there and do it, and you play it a few hours thing, and you bring it out again for them to play it. Would I spend £10 on this game? No. Would I probably spend £10 on the upgraded Ultimate Edition? I'd be more inclined to. But this isn't. I don't think value for money. I don't think it's got it for me personally. As a person who played it, I can see the argument though that it does.
Yeah.
You go compared to the others, this is 100 hours worth of content. You go yes, but the content is paper thin. I don't want to read a 2,000-page book with one word on each thing.
Yeah.
I would rather read a nice short 100-page book where it's real, like got a bit of meat to its bones. You know. So for me, and for that reason, I'm out. I don't think that gets it.
Yeah.
What about Def Jam? The cheapest game here.
Yeah.
Versus the most expensive game here. It's just a question on whether we think Dragonball FighterZ has more value for it than Def Jam.
What I will say.
Do you remember when you started this episode when you said you were gonna be real positive about this game?
I think the positivity will come from most entertaining, if I'm honest. Okay.
Fuck you for now.
As for this, I can see why it's a 9-hour game. I can. I think if
Is
you
it because
go,
it's 9 hours long?
yes.
Cool.
If you went through the story mode and went through it all the way through, there's no deviating from that story. It's not like you can go off on side missions or whatever. It is very linear. It probably is, you know, 9 hours long. There are, if you go into other modes, 29 different people you can play. There's a lot of content on the side of these fights that you could play with for quite a long time. However, and it harks back to what I said in the last category, I think the fight mechanics are so frustrating and the game itself is so repetitive in its nature.
Well, like every fighting game really is.
Yeah, exactly. But this is the thing for me, is that I find fight games in general so repetitive that I do struggle to get all of the content done. I do not have the passion for fighting games to be a completionist about it. I personally do think that the extra content on the side, which I will go into detail in a bit more with most entertaining, means that you could easily get 9 hours out of this. If you enjoyed it, I can totally see why somebody would sit down and do it. It's just not the genre for me.
Fair.
So where do we lean? That's the question. Who's voting for what?
I'm voting for Dragon Ball.
What are you voting for?
I think I'm going to vote for Def Jam.
I'm the decider.
You are the decider.
I really have no dog in this race apart from like get a point. Part of me wants to go for the cheaper game because it makes sense for the value for money. I think realistically I want to. However, I'm fully aware that Def Jam Icons for some reason took a bunch of content out compared to the one before it. Like you had 67 playable characters. You had so much more in the other one. But then if it's licensing issues and all this sort of thing.
Maybe it's just to focus more on your like own character.
Yeah,
so it's
maybe.
Icon. It's the idea of you raising.
Yeah.
Which is dumb, but I get it.
But there is more length in that. So if we do simple maths,
Yep.
can we do simple maths, Darren?
I don't know, can we?
I don't know. What's 11? 11 into 44 is
4.
4, and 3 into 9.
It's 3.
So which is better?
4 is bigger than 3.
So I think it's going to have to be Dragon Ball FighterZ that gets the point. Well, that's why I did it. I was like, in my heart of heart, I want to go for Def Jam because I want a point.
Yeah.
That was somehow both the easiest maths I've done and the most tense maths I've done.
So
when you went 4 and 3, what's better? Just stared at me like, 4's bigger? I don't know.
I think it's going to have to go for Dragon Ball FighterZ gets the point for value for money. So yeah, well done, Karis.
Yay!
Another point to you. Oh, good. Look at all these points going to other people rather than me.
Hooray.
Again. Oh, this is hurting me, guys.
We just need to remember how it went last time when you obliterated the middle of the fucking scene.
That's all. I just failed at the beginning. So should we move on to most entertaining, guys?
Yes.
Yeah.
Cool. I'll go first. No. Cool. No. And I don't want this to be a theme that I don't like the games I'm playing because that is not the case. Like you look at the last season, I loved a lot of the games I played.
Yeah.
I just feel that this is so not my game and so thin in everything it does. It doesn't work. The only way I'd get enjoyment out of this game or entertainment is playing with other people and having that battle and you're trying to win. But like some of the mechanics, they don't even explain like how you switch your characters out or anything like that. And they go, pick your 3 people. You're like, cool. Right, my 3. You're like, playing it. I was thinking, I'm just playing it until this one character dies and then the next character will come in, which is not enjoyable. And you can find it, but you have to go search for these bits.
It's a real, like, fighting games fans fighting game.
Well, that's it. Yeah, it's a fan. If you loved fighting games, I reckon you loved this. You loved this growing up, and you thought this was like one of the best games you played for fighting. It's not a game that I enjoyed, and for that, it's not going to be me fighting for it. So I am sorry. I know you bought it for me, but I can't give you any points for this game, unfortunately, because it just didn't work for me. I think a lot of people will be annoyed about this who love fighting games, but Marvel vs. Capcom 3 isn't the right game.
That is one of the things of this podcast, though, is that regardless of the quality of the game, it's also who you bought it for.
And I think saying there's quality, I think this got much higher ratings than it deserves.
Okay.
I think there's a lot of good bits to it, but because of how, and that's it, because of there's no modes. You can go, this is the best game in the world. You know, like My Name is Mayo. Theoretically, it's just tapping on a mayo thing and sticking different costumes on a mayo bottle.
Yeah.
It does what it does perfectly. It should get 100 marks. It should get 100 out of 100 because it's perfect in what it does. No, because it misses out so much. This game is missing so much it should have that it doesn't.
It feels like it's tailor-made to be played at a fighting game.
You're meant to go, here you go, it's a tournament, this is the game you're going to play, and everyone goes, yeah, great, I've learned all the moves for Wolverine on this time, so I'm going to fight through on it.
Okay.
It doesn't fit me.
That's fair enough.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. So, nothing for me, so you guys can now argue about entertainment, because you both seem to have big entertaining moments in there. You've already said you want to talk about entertaining in both your games.
Yeah.
So there's no point in me trying to sully the water.
This is a game that, for most entertaining, I will fight for it. It was putting aside the fact, and I am going to put aside the fact that I am not a fighting game fan. So it is not a game that I looked forward to playing in that respect. It's not a game that I would reach for. However, the fun I had when I was playing it was well worth it. There is a good amount of character customization in it, and if you've listened to the freebies episode, I did mention that I am a big fan of character customization. I love to dress the dollies, okay? I really do. And there's a whole thing where, and for a PS3 game, the customization is good. Like, you get to do like the different eye shapes, you change face shapes. There's a lot to do where you can make this character your own, and it feels good. There's a lot to do with a lot of the ways that you level up, for example, are that you are paid for fights. You are paid for different things that you do for these rappers. You are then encouraged to go and like get new clothes, because these rappers will be like, you look like a fucking idiot. Please go and get some other clothes, like, for God's sake. Especially your boss, who is like, you're representing my label. You can't walk around like that. Go and get some fucking new clothes, please.
Is that how he says it?
Yeah, well, he doesn't say it like that. He does say, you're representing my label.
Another question, please.
No.
Where's my gift card?
I find you very rude.
I'm just thinking there's the same scene in one of the Yakuza games, but your boss literally says, like, you look like a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
He doesn't say you look like an idiot, but he does say, you're representing my label now. I cannot have you walking around in these clothes. Here's $1,000. Please go to the shop. And that's music to my ears anyway.
You come back in the same clothes, but in slightly better condition.
Yeah. And there's lots of things that...
Just made it rain on the street.
Quite obviously sponsored by people, because you can buy like Air Jordans. You can buy like stuff from Nike. You can set up like Nike. I don't know I don't know how you say that. Nikkei.
Yeah.
And when you go into the fights, I have to be honest, as bad as the fight mechanics are, it makes the fights funny, because I'm going up to this guy. This part, right, this is so ridiculous. You've got this song going on in the background. It's either your song or it's the other song, which I will come on to. And as well as fighting, you also have to bust out some sick moves, because that kind of boosts your fighting stuff. So in the middle of this guy trying to kick me in the face, I'm also breakdancing.
Yep.
There are parts of this fight as well where you have to like dodge things that are falling. So at one point you are fighting in a radio station, and there are like light rigs falling that you can throw people into when you work out how to throw people, because that's another thing that I didn't like about this, sorry. There's no tutorial or anything, so you have to work out everything in true PS3 style, which I did really like, actually, because there was a lot of nostalgia in it, that you had to look through the little booklet to see what the controls were. I did really enjoy that from a nostalgia point of view.
Yeah, that's why I bought it.
Yeah.
But
for the book.
But I will say, when you try and do the controls that are in the book, it doesn't really work out. But there are a lot of things that are really entertaining about this. The fact that when you fight someone and you punch them, it feels like you're slapping them with a wet lettuce, is in its own way frustrating, but very entertaining. And it is entertaining going through and having these emails from these rappers that are really well known. Like, you get an email from Fat Joe or Ludacris or T.I. and you're like, yeah, okay. Yeah, I'll go and do that for you, T.I., no problem. It is a really fun
Did you make your
game.
character a simp?
Am I a simp for T.I.? When you look at my guy, I purposefully made my guy like this fucking brick shit house 6'4", like hench bloke. And then I was fighting these guys like, oh, yeah, I'm punching you now. It's insanely entertaining when you're playing it. It's just not a game that I look forward to playing, but when I'm playing, it's like what I said last time with Dead Space in a different way, in that it's not because it's scary, it's just because I don't like fighting games, but there are so many funny bits in it, and so much entertainment in it that I enjoyed it while I was playing it.
Fair.
Go on then, Darren. Bring it home for a win for Dragonball.
There are bits of this I really like, bits that I really don't. So, like, the core of the game is it starts you in this little, like, hub world, and it has, to be fair, it's just quite fun, little, like, collectible mechanics, like a loot box sort of thing.
Yeah.
You get, like, new models you can walk around in the hub world.
Nice.
And I imagine if you play it online, there are other people in the hub world. I didn't play it online because I'm bad at fighting games.
I think that's true. Whenever there was an online thing, I was like, I'm not touching this because everyone will obliterate me.
But it's fun when you start because the game gives you like a rundown, which is quite nice. It's like, here are all the modes, try them all. You get like coins for it. One of the things that really annoys me about this game is it incentivizes you to do the tutorial. You do the tutorial. After that, it says do the story mode, and the story mode has the tutorial baked in. What's the fucking point? You start levels and it's like, hey, you want to learn how to play? I'm like, no, just fucking did. But the problem is with that as well, is because it's the tutorial, half the fights are really easy because they just stand still. So you can like learn the controls.
Which doesn't really prep you for what's coming up soon.
The actual mechanics of this, which I suppose is what you base entertaining on in a fighting game, is fun. It has a really nice sort of flow to it. As I said, a lot of it is about being on the offensive and sort of applying pressure. So a lot of the combos have like two halves. You have the ground half, they get knocked up in the air, and then you can go up in the air and do the second half of it. You can bring your other characters in to do like a little support attack, or you can switch them through on the fly. So there's like a move to switch characters, and there's a move to actively switch characters. So anyone flies in, does a hit, and keeps them sort of staggered. It has, I feel like this might be like heresy.
Go on, what are you going to say?
It feels like it has a lack of depth to its mechanics.
Okay.
It feels like there are a set sort of progression of combos, but there isn't like something I noticed in like a Mortal Kombat is there's very sort of explicit orders you should do things in to have things after that work. And it feels like in this you can go through a combo and button mash through the combo.
Right.
But if you like do a combo, hit a button in between, do the same combo, hit a button in between, do the same combo, you'll be just as effective as if you switch it up.
Right. Okay.
The AI has no chill, and they do exactly that. So if you are playing and you're not very good, the AI will just shit all over you.
Really?
Basically.
Okay.
Yeah, and like the story mode is fun. I like the plot. It has a lot of fun stuff throughout it. The idea is there's clones of all like the enemies and all of the heroes coming through, and everyone's been weakened. But the board structure of it is fun for like the first two levels,
and then it
is what it is after that. You're just walking around. They don't have anything distinct other than the background changes. I wish it was like you could go into the levels and maybe like have a conversation, buy like an upgrade for the fight.
Yeah.
It's just you go to here, you go to here, you go to fight. The order of them doesn't really matter. It's
almost a point and click at some points.
Yeah, it's really good sort of gameplay wise, really good structurally. The story is fun of what I've played of it, but it feels like there's a line in it where
the welcome expires.
Yeah, it runs out of new things, and then you're just doing the same thing because it's a fighting game. You're doing the same thing on repeat then, and you're just.
I think we're all not sold on fighting games, which is partly why I bought Def Jam, because I thought it was a fighting game, but in the loosest term and a bit more weird.
Yeah, I got carried a bit further on this by the fact that it is Dragon Ball. So there's bits where like, oh no, Cell's back, and you go, oh, Cell, yeah, I know him. And then he's still a dickhead.
Are we potentially all leaning that the most entertaining fighting game is the least fighting game?
I think maybe, yeah, because it's got more entertainment to fill the gap.
Yeah.
So Def Jam takes the point in this round?
Yes.
Nice.
A point for Josh!
As
then
it should.
And then he remembers that the next round is play the game,
Yeah.
which he has to fight for something he enjoyed in Marvel. So he's going to let everyone else go first.
Can I point out that my play of the game, when you say something you enjoyed, this was something that I found hilarious because it was entirely frustrating.
Then you go. You've already started.
You started.
You go on.
Okay.
If this is your moment that is the bit that you
It was
really
the
enjoyed the
moment
most.
where I really actually nearly threw the fucking PS3 out the window.
It's hard to sell that as a good moment, but go for it.
This is what I'm saying.
Is it a
It's not-
PS3 Slim or an
it's not
original?
Or it's a
it's
big
original.
chunk.
That'll kill someone.
Yeah, it's not a good moment. Okay, it's not. Which is why I don't really want to make it my play of the game, but it's.
Then don't. You can just say this is a moment you want to talk about.
Yeah, okay. So, what I mentioned earlier on was that you can pick, in this game, you can pick a fighting style out of a good few. And you also get to pick a song, right? That is like your fighting song, right? So, the style I went for, as a little bit of a tidbit, I'm an ex-martial artist. So I went for Street Kwando.
Okay.
Because I was like, yeah, all right, wicked. Like, let's see how they do that. The fight style is actually, like, there are definitely moves in there that are, like, pretty accurate, apart from the fact that they have no oomph behind them. The thing that got me was the song, okay? So you get to pick a song from, like, a roster of things that are obviously from Def Jam. I don't know what happened. I could not get off this one song, right? Couldn't pick a different one. It is Sitting Sideways by Paul Wall.
Can we have a little bit of that?
No.
Darren, can we have a little bit of that?
I don't know the song, so no.
No, neither can I.
Okay.
So can we have a little bit of that?
No, absolutely not, because it just says Sitting Sideways for about 42 times. Okay. But
And that's not what you do in a fight.
no, but it's all right. It's
Not
not.
ideal.
It's not the worst song in the world. What they don't
Even
tell
less
you
accurate now.
is that when you pick this fighting song, it doesn't just happen in your fights. It comes on when you're in your apartment. It comes on when you're doing regular things. I have heard that song. I never heard that song before I started playing this game. I have heard that song so fucking often that I have been teaching classes with sitting sideways, sitting sideways. There you go. There's your song. And I'm sat there, and I remember at one point I kept losing this fight, and as I said, there's no health bar. I don't know why I was losing the fight because I kept thinking I was going to win, and then suddenly I lost, and all I heard was sitting sideways. Fuck that song. Fuck Paul
great.
Wall. Honestly, they had told me that I had to pick this song and it would haunt me for the rest of my life, I wouldn't be picking Paul fucking Wall.
Just out of interest, Darren, how are our sound levels on that?
Sorry.
They're peaking.
I got.
Okay.
I hate.
So
that
that's
that
your
was a
play of the
thing.
game?
No.
Okay.
What's the play of the game?
What is your play of the game?
My play of the game was I won a fight because I don't know how I did it. This is the only time I've done it. Okay, I was trying to throw my opponent. Now, if you've played this game before and you know how to throw your opponent, please let me know, because I tried everything in the little book. I tried button mashing. I tried everything. I could not throw my opponent.
You pick them up and go, yeah.
My opponent was throwing me around like a fucking rag doll, right? And I was like, oh my God, right then I'm going to lose. I went to do something and I don't know how I did it. I fly kicked this bitch across the room into a lighting rig, and I don't know whether the game glitched, but I think he tried to break dance his way up and the lighting rig fell on him again.
Good.
It's a lot funnier when you had to be there, but it was just one of those game mechanics that I thought, that was insane. I just loved it. I fly kicked this person into a lighting rig only for it to come up and then fall on him again, and it was great. It was awesome. The fact that was the one instance where Paul Wall wasn't playing in the background also added to it. I will be honest.
Dragon Ball.
I'll go for Dragon Ball. I'll start off on a completely different piece of media because this is what it reminded me of. So Lord of the Rings. A big thing with a lot of Lord of the Rings is people question why didn't the eagles just fly them to Mordor?
Yeah.
And then in every piece of Lord of the Rings media since, they show an eagle at least once getting the shit kicked out of it to go, this is why not.
Yeah.
Don't ask questions.
Yeah.
There's a bit early on in the plot of this where basically you've just worked out what the problem is. You've just come to sort of the conclusion of how you're going to progress. And then essentially God shows up. The two gods descend from the sky, and they're like, "God, this is before you've been told what the cause of the problem is." And they're like, "God, these waves are funny, aren't they?" Like, what waves? Like, oh, the energy waves that are weakening people. You know about those, right? Like, no? Like, oh yeah, there's just these waves and that. They're like, you gonna help us? No? Then why are you here? I just thought we'd come say hi. Thought we'd come down. Thought we'd come down for a meal. She's like, I'm not gonna cook for you. And they're like, oh, guess you won't help then. Gonna do anything about the waves? Like, what waves? Oh, the waves.
So, God, this
It was so, because you feel like if they didn't put it in, people would question like, oh, there's like literal fighting gods in this universe. Why aren't they doing anything? And like the second cutscene of the game is the gods descend and go, we're not going to fucking do anything.
How about you do something for once?
Yeah, he literally comes down and goes, oh, it's not my problem. And then just leave. Like, well, that's fucking great.
Rude, isn't it? Yeah.
So, I wasn't expecting it at all. They stay around for a little while to tell you how to get Goku out of his body.
Right.
Because he's essentially trapped inside himself while you have taken over. And they work all that out and then go, cool, hope it goes all right, peace. And then just fly off. And it was so great of like, well, okay.
Oh my god.
And it's from there the story goes into what the story's doing, where you go and rescue everyone and do all that.
Yeah.
But it's great the story essentially gets like plot dumped by God, who then just fucks off again. It's like, well, I'm not going to do anything about it, or else there'd be no game, would there? See ya.
Oh my god.
It feels very anime in that sort of response, doesn't it?
It was just like, I was expecting it to be like, oh yeah, like I'm going to have a fight as him, or I'm going to fight him to test my strength.
Yeah.
He turns up and goes, well, I'm not doing anything, peace.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. It just seems like so.
What?
Deuces.
Yeah.
And then he goes sideways.
And then he sits down, but sideways. It's a weird reference, but good for him.
Good for him. So, my most entertaining play of the game moment for this.
For the second week in a row, is it turning it off?
I think it was just now. I was looking at the little booklet. And the booklet,
Shut up,
the
just
booklet
now.
is insane. The booklet's all done like a comic book as well.
Oh my god.
So it's got all, which is really cool that it's got in there. It's like got these bits, and the best bit is it's got notes at the back.
Oh,
It's got
I
notes
missed
pages.
notes page.
It's got notes pages
Oh,
at
I
the back of it.
forgot about notes
So
pages.
it's got all of the, but like it's an actual black and grey.
That's so cool.
Really cool.
Wow.
They put a lot of effort with this side of it.
Do you know what? That's the
Is
one
it
thing.
weird that the best part of this game has been
The
looking at
instruction
that
manual?
instruction
No, but I
manual?
get it, because when I looked at, I completely forgot with my game that they had books. So when I opened it, I was like, oh my god, it feels like I'm fucking 12 again. Looking at like it was lovely. So no, I get it.
No, but I think this is the best part of that. I mean, it does explain everything in there, but I think that's a great manual, and it's weird that I miss manuals, but also I think they've done a really good job on theirs, and it's looking.
It carries over sort of that.
The theme across both,
the common
rather,
theme, yeah.
rather than just here's a manual for you.
Yeah. Pretty
cool.
But I did enjoy some of the fights. I did like I mean, I played a few of them, and I won quite a lot of them, not switching for a long part of it. And there were some cool moments with Wolverine, and then you'd like team up with other people, and they do a cool move, but nothing that made me go, oh, I've got to bring that back to tell everyone.
Like my other option was I thought I'd learned the combat from the tutorials and felt ready to go in, and then opened up an arcade fight and got the shit kicked out of me pretty decisively. Like, well, that hurt.
So, play of the game. I keep saying most entertaining. Play of the game.
The most entertaining play of the game.
Most entertaining play of the game is probably you having sitting sideways, playing constantly.
It's pretty good.
But that,
Isn't
yeah,
your play of the game?
it's not my play of the game. But if I'm honest, it was just so infuriating that
It's funny because it's kind of like the entire basis of the game is based in this sort of music genre, and it was that element of the game which made you hate it.
But if it was like we're gonna move through the roster that you've been given, I'd be like, cool. Not only am I playing a game, I'm learning some classic songs. But no, I got Paul Wall, and I hate him for it.
If you could have a song as your fighting back song, what would it be?
Get Low, Lil Jon. That was my Need for Speed 2 Underground. Like,
oh yeah, every time you turn Need for Speed Underground, it was on.
Yeah.
Does it have to be part of the rap scene?
Nope.
Different?
oh, okay.
Just what you think best suits you fighting wise. What would be the ideal song for you?
I need a hero.
Okay.
Just because I need help. Because I'm gonna lose.
Karis, what are you thinking?
I don't know. It's open. You're gonna have to come back to me because it's opened a little.
Yakety sax.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah, because there's no strategy there. There's no logic to the actions. I'm just flailing and running.
Okay.
Which described how I played this as well.
What is the name of the song?
It's called the Wii intro music.
Rebecca Black's Friday.
Oh no! What is the name of the song?
Call Me Maybe.
In SpongeBob SquarePants.
Sweet Victory.
Sweet Victory. That's the one.
Oh, the star of Super Bowl
I think
53's halftime.
Yes.
Fun is for friends.
S is for friends who do stuff together.
There we are.
U is for you and me.
So,
But I want the Plankton verse.
Okay.
Can we move back from that weird detail despite SpongeBob into what we think is player of the game? I actually think it's Karis.
I think it's Karis.
So
It was a pretty sweet one.
this week's winner and moving into the lead by herself is Karis. Yes! Has won the fight category.
Very well picking up the mantle Paul left behind.
I was going to say, I'm doing you proud, Paul.
Yeah, he lost.
He lost.
He won very quickly early on. But yeah, that was fight. So let us know what you thought. Do you think we were right? Should we have picked better games? Are we wrong for not liking fight games?
Yeah.
Who knows? Before we go into the whole spiel about following and doing all the social stuff, should we have a look at what we're going to be doing next time?
We have to look into next episode. Look into the future.
With random genre generator.
That was a good one.
Yeah, I like the roll of the R.
Yeah. This was our fight, and we now have to go into different fight.
Yeah. So, what is our random genre?
Our genre for the next episode is cooking.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
These are my favourite genres because they're just stupid.
Yeah, I did just get my Wii back, but I haven't got it set up or worked out if it's working. So Cooking Mama is probably off of the table this month because I can't.
Because it's on the kitchen counter. Yeah.
That's it. But yes, cooking is going to be a hard one, which could be literally anything that has cooking in it.
Yeah, cooking game and cooking. Game you play as a chef, but not about cooking.
A king called Coo.
Yep.
It could be anything.
Yep.
Because then be cooking.
Cooking.
Let's then go on to the end and end this episode because we are descending into chaos. Just want to thank you all for listening to this episode. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully you've got, you thought it was good.
Hope you like fighting games more than we do.
Yeah, and maybe not enjoy fighting games, but yeah, thank you for coming along.
Yes.
Do check out our socials, which is at Disccount Pod with an extra C. There's a lot of beeping going on right now.
I think it's our dishwasher.
Has decided it's going to have a little strop for some reason.
It wants to join in.
It wants
it's
to
our
join
fourth host.
Yes. Player 4. Yes, at
cooking. Call to action.
At Disccount Pod.
2 C's.
With 2 C's on Instagram, or you can catch us on our individual ones, which is at Disccount Karis, at Disccount Josh, at Disccount Darren. It's pretty simple.
With 2 C's.
2 C's. So we're on Instagram, where we will be discussing if you want to put out some more ideas about genres that we should be doing, and also we do polls to put things in the vault, so you can decide which of these 3 games belong in our special vault, and they will then appear potentially in a future Twitch stream, as we are now on Twitch. So do check us out on Twitch. Give us a follow over there. We stream 3 times a week. Each of us streams on a different day. It changes weekly, so just keep an eye on the schedule. We do multiplayer games. We do random big games that we're playing. Also, we do the episode games. So if you wanted to have a little look at what the episodes are, the person who bought the game will play it. These games will not feature on stream. We will be starting with our survival horror. As
basically, we do games.
We do games on there.
I wouldn't want to torture you all with Paul Wall.
No.
No.
You wouldn't even play. You just start the track and sit there for 3 hours and then turn it off.
And then we'd get done for terms of service of using too much of that. And lastly, do check us out. We're also on YouTube, so we have got an uncut version of this where you can see our lovely faces fighting at shaking our fists at a dishwasher throughout it. But yes, do come and check us out. That's at Disccount Pod. Everything's at Disccount Pod. We appreciate everything you can give us, and follow and like us and subscribe to us and review us and love us. And we are needy. We are.
Love us. Love us back.
Yeah.
Please
appreciate us doing things.
But thank you so much. I think that brings us to the end of another episode. And as we say at the end of every episode here,
sitting sideways.
Sitting sideways.
Disccount Podcast.
Welcome in, you cheap beggars, to Discount, the bargain bin gaming podcast, hosted by 3 people so small they may be the Overwatch 2 servers on relaunch day. Relaunch day? Relaunch day.
Relaunch day. My favourite Resident Evil game.
I am here singing you a lullaby whilst whirling